All right, good evening. It is 6 o'clock and I'm calling to order this Community Relations Committee of the Greenfield City Council. This meeting is being recorded by the Community Relations Committee. If any other persons present are doing the same, you must notify the chairperson at this time. The back row people. Got it. All right, so I'm going to take the roll call.
I'm sure Anthony will be recording.
Anthony, will you be recording separately? You can just put it in the chat. All right, so roll call of members. Counselor Perry,
Present.
Counselor Brown, present. Counselor Williams,
Present.
and Counselor Minhas. Counselor Wondolowski, yes, I'm here. All right, so can I have a motion for the approval of the minutes from June 16th?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, indicate aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Abstentions?
Abstention. I
Okay,
wasn't here, so I can't swear to anything.
all right, so minutes. Very approved. Second. Okay. I will be opening public comments, and I know my watch is a tiny bit fast, but I'm gonna just say it's 6:05 for my watch. We have nobody signed up at this time. Anybody remote who wants to put it in the chat, please? Okay, closing public comment at the same time at 6:05. All right.
I don't think they can see.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Did I not do
I
that?
trusted you.
That's a good point. Oh, now they can see us. Don't worry. Just trying to be anonymous. All righty. I don't know why they put in a communications from department heads, because we've never had that on our agenda before, but that must be just a carryover from the regular agenda. So we have several discussion items for this evening's agenda. The first one is about an amendment to the ordinance on precinct meetings to allow other avenues of notification to the public on precinct meetings. So the basic deal is we started talking about how we can use this committee to promulgate the precinct meetings once again. And our ordinance says that we should send a notice by postcard to every household in the precinct as established by the last municipal census. And then there's other rules about 1 to 4 at-large counselors as available, the mayor, chief of police, fire chief. It's a really long list. Basic meetings. So I would love for us to tackle a little bit so we can give some guidance to A&O on first off notice, and second, who should be there. So Catherine and I had a conversation about means of letting people know, and I'm glad that Amy's here because you also do a lot of public engagement work. I reached out to FERCog to just ask them, like, when you guys do public engagement, like what works. So the first thing I asked the chief of staff, like, how do we get those like display signs that are on the road? And does that cost us anything to do it? And they said to just go through Chief Strahan. So I was like, that's a good way. Like, I noticed that when I'm driving through town and it says fire hydrants are being flushed or whatever. What do you all think in terms of like, what is the modern replacement of not mailing to everybody?
Well, social media.
Yeah.
The city of Greenfield does have their Facebook and other websites, so that'd be a good way to get it out as well.
Would we want to specify like, it needs to be posted at least 2 times, or I know government is sometimes helpful to.
I feel like the city calendar also is an obvious one.
Okay.
But honestly, I'm curious the history of like when they created this in 2018 and like what prompted it and like if it's ever happened since then, because it's so specific.
Well, I think it was in the original town charter. I
Oh,
believe.
really?
Yeah,
Oh, okay,
they were updating it.
Okay, so I'm curious
Yeah.
what got
It
updated.
has happened.
Okay.
You know, people have talked about it. There've been conversations about doing away with precincts because people don't feel like there's issues that are so specific to just that area of Greenfield necessarily. So that's been an interesting feedback that we've gotten from people.
I think there are specific issues. We do door to door.
Yeah.
There's always somebody who wants to talk to you about what's going on in that street, et cetera, and so on. Also, at the risk of sounding very old, postcards in the mail are not a bad thing.
They're just expensive. And so for us to do this from this committee was gonna be a long time frame to do. That's why we're talking about it, but
So it's an expense question.
Yeah.
Because in terms of communications, it's not, people don't go to, I mean, how many citizens go to the calendar? Or,
I'm on there all the time, but I'm a unusual case.
We're not normal.
I know.
right, right. So I just want to make sure that when we discuss how we notify people, that it's a way that everyone, or the largest amount of people possible get the notification.
yeah, I was trying to think of like, in every precinct, are there places where you can like post notices? And for some neighborhoods, that's obvious, and for others, it's not.
Right.
Precincts have neighborhood groups. Precinct 7 does. I think 5 does.
But I'm
You know, so the word got that way through the neighborhood group. For that specific precinct, right?
I feel like one extreme end of what we could do is nix this entirely, like just to like put that out there as like an option, because it's restrictive. If the goal is to have more precinct meetings and then this like composition of this panel and like all these communication channels that have to be like checked off, and if the goal is just like actual community building and precinct gatherings, like the more rules, the harder it might be. I think we could phrase it in a way where it's like you do like 3 out of 5 of these channels or like something. I like the physical signs of like as you're driving and you're in your precinct, like that would help reach people who don't follow the usual channels.
I mean, I do agree that we need multimodal because, you know, for work, I'm always like, we gotta mail something too, because like half of our donors they're just
Yeah.
not on electronic. I don't know if the reverse like 911, like do we ever do robocalls from mayor?
Yeah. I mean,
I know there's the reverse 911, which they use for emergencies, but you have to sign up for it.
I mean, that would be nicest, or like just people's emails and numbers is the most text.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of the easiest way to get in touch with people.
Right.
We also talked about this before, but these type of meetings are gonna be issue driven as well.
Right.
There's gonna be some meetings where no one's gonna show up because they don't care, but if it's a specific issue, then people will show up to say their piece.
Yeah, absolutely. Patty, besides a postcard, do you have any other thoughts on I mean, yeah, we could flyer everybody, but then no one's gonna do that either.
Yeah, you know. I mean. You know, a posting, obviously on the recorder.
Yeah.
I mean, even if people read it online, they can see it there.
That's true. Yeah, that's a really good one because I think the people who are engaged enough to come to a meeting probably look at the paper.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Because there's a lot of people who it won't matter. They're busy with their lives.
Right.
So,
I didn't realize that we were supposed to host this in all even ending years.
I know
That's
that's
such a big ask. Like, to do this panel, but that's okay.
yeah. And then the other part of this, looking at this panel, like just feels overboard. I don't know if there's a way to make it, as you said, more flexible. I mean,
I feel like striking through the whole composition of the panel is almost worth it because, and then even that the mayor runs the panel or a designee of the mayor, it's like, I don't know why.
But actually, it's just one word, because it says in each. If that said for each, then you could maybe, manipulate a little bit different where you'd have joint precinct meetings in one place, like John's on, you'd have,
yeah,
But because it says in, that makes it sound like you have to be in the neighborhood.
right. Well, and I know I mean, the only thing that they consideration was avoiding open meeting violations, so not having like, so you could have 3 counselors plus,
Yeah,
you could have the precinct one and like several who are
not orange.
at large, yeah.
Yeah, the panel looks a bit ridiculous at this point. I mean, that's too big. There's too many people to organize. You're never gonna have the meeting. You're gonna have to look at a year ahead.
Yeah.
To have all those people there.
Uh,
Also wondering if like,
Precinct counselor. We can leave the precinct counselor 1 to 4 at-large counselors as available. The mayor, that makes sense. And then others
any relevant,
at discretion of precinct.
that seems fully reasonable.
Current.
Yeah.
Mayor shall by electronic means send invitations to each precinct meeting to the chairs of every multi-member body of the city of Greenfield.
That's.
Yeah, we can look at that.
I mean, if we've got it posted on the city calendar and other places, then
People know.
yeah. Anything else? I just want to.
So I'm just trying, there's not a lot of institutional knowledge here, but a lot of us have lived here for a while. I don't remember this ever happening to you.
Yeah, this is like impossible to enforce. Like what happens if we haven't.
I mean, I almost feel like, and I'm just saying, like, this is maybe changing the language that, this is initiated by Community Relations Committee.
I'm also wondering if like framing it as office hours or like meet and greet with your counselor, something where it doesn't have to be in this like panel format, like even just panel format in and of itself is like setting up a public versus counselor divide. whatever, elective divide.
Mm,
So, but if you were doing like a meet and greet or office hours, would you not have to follow any of these precinct meeting rules? Because it's like a separate thing, but could the city still put it out through the communication channels that the city uses? Something?
Well, we could break the whole ordinance, how low we're gonna be, we wanted to, I suppose, I mean.
yeah,
But I was thinking, do away with all this and have the communications committee, be in charge of it.
yeah,
And so instead of the 4 counselors and 3 the at-large counselors and the precinct counselor, let's have the communications run them. 3 members of the committee. You know, and then they're the hosts, and they can determine, who to invite, depending on what the topic is or what the issues are burning in individual precincts and that sort of stuff. And get the feedback from the counselor of that precinct, but that counselor precinct, well, they could replace one of the community relations people, I suppose, and that can the community, then the precinct counselor could, be representative of the community relations committee that month. Does that sound too complex? Does it make sense?
no,
Yeah.
it makes it easier because if it's community relations working with the precinct counselor, sets it up.
Mhm.
And works with them on the format, then if someone want to do it as a drop-in like office hours, you can do it, I mean, it also makes sure that it happens because some of our counselors probably are not as good about wanting to do this.
Mhm.
And there might be issues in their precinct and they
They better avoid.
that are trying to avoid, yes.
Right. But I think, so do you think that it's necessary? I think it's best if the mayor is present.
Yes.
Yeah, no doubt
Because
about that.
you need someone to have that
Oh, sure.
overview.
Yeah.
And, when people ask the big questions, she'll have the best handle on it. So I think the mayor needs to be there.
Yeah, I agree.
So the mayor and several members, however many,
Yeah.
of this committee and the precinct counselor. It seems like that would be an adequate grouping,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I think knowing everyone else all the rest of those folks don't need to be there.
Yeah, we had an experience a few months ago where we were working on the resolution for the transgender thing, and we had a meeting here, and people came in, and it was well populated. A lot of people came to say what they were saying. It was great. Well, actually, it wasn't yours, it was firehouse. Now that I think about it, but we had to be, and so that's what I mean when it's going to be issue driven. We probably could have done it for the cell tower had we had more time.
That's true.
And then even for the voting last month, for the housing thing, we had enough time to anticipate what was going to happen. We had our neighborhood thing to take away some of the complaint afterwards of, well, no one asked us and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So if the committee is really forward thinking and paying attention to what's coming down the pipe, then we could help the community relations part of it.
Yeah, totally agree with that. And I am going back and forth in my head about the even ending years. Because on the one hand, like it gives us an out. So it's like, but then it also means it doesn't happen. If something's simmering, as you said, then we don't hear about it again for 2 years.
You couldn't say like for each counselor's term, like twice during each counselor's term or something. That way could be more, I don't know, while they're there for 4 years. But I guess then if somebody's, I don't know.
Or that's actually the seats tour,
What?
the seats term, because your counselors come and go
Right,
sometimes.
yeah.
So it's the term of that seat,
Yeah,
not necessarily the individual counselor. I don't know if that really matters or not, but it would matter if someone left in the middle of a term.
Yeah. Kind of not make that too complicated.
I don't know, whatever phrasing.
Or there's gonna be like at least
Yeah,
every other year.
Biannually, so by emergency.
Yes. That's good. Because that gives us the ability to do it more often.
Yeah.
Should we?
That's all right. That language is in here already. You can have additional meetings. It doesn't preclude you from having additional.
And then in each of the 9 precincts, like, does every precinct have a good hosting space? And I'm assuming this isn't part of like hybrid meeting ordinance, but we want remote.
What's precinct eight like? I mean, there's a community center at,
Is there a room in?
The house.
Oh, yeah, and the Elm Street, it's true.
you're new, so you're not gonna know, unless you've had some experience in the past of, dealing with, as I mentioned, precinct 7 has the neighborhood group, so that's neighborhood driven, so the council can just latch onto that and use that as the communication vehicle.
No, but we have to remind, this is a really good reminder that because of our hybrid, there might not be hybrid spaces available in every precinct.
Does hybrid apply to this too? I don't remember.
Probably,
Yeah,
probably.
I could look into that.
I like it because people are more likely to zoom in from the kitchen than they are to come down here to listen.
I know. I mean, as much as like, we feel like City Hall is open to everybody, a lot of people feel nervous coming into City Hall.
I think it would be really nice if it was in each of the 9 precincts. But I feel like we should look at the list of possible hosting spaces and also
There's not
compare
too
it
many.
and compare it with the hybrid
Yeah, yeah.
ordinance if it's required by the hybrid ordinance.
Yeah.
I can see that.
I mean, you saw the problem you had at the school meeting when there was walking back and forth with the microphone and trying to get you on camera, remember that?
Oh, yeah,
It
yeah.
was,
Right.
but it was like horrible, but it was hard to follow what was going on.
Oh my gosh, that was like nuts.
Yeah, so that was an example of a limited resource of, trying to conduct a meeting, technologically.
Yes. Yeah, I'm like picturing all the different, it's like, is the library in 5 technically?
I guess. I didn't make my book with me, I had all the
Yeah.
sheets and everything, but.
I mean, yeah, you've got this.
John's on it?
Oh, yeah, over there.
Yeah, that's easy.
Trying to think of one.
Just roots is not exactly.
No.
Yeah.
Pickleball courts?
Hmm.
Oh, yeah.
We could phrase it where it's like ideally within each of the 9 precincts, but
Say 9 would be at the sheriff's at the jail.
it's true.
Heard they have a nice meeting room.
Sure they do.
I don't know if a lot of people want to
The fire,
get to that.
the fire station is where, what precinct is the new fire station?
Mine is like funky, hits some of that, so it might be mine or it might be 9 and
They're all like.
Well, the fire station, I mean, is downtown, so,
yeah,
It
that
could be
does
used.
make, yeah.
and
that
that's
makes it easy.
hybrid. We have hybrid meetings in there, so.
Anything else on this that we want to talk about tonight? It's,
I would like if the notice section says like at least multiple ways of these channels and leaves it up to some flexibility.
I like that idea of like pick 3 out of 5.
Yeah, or minimum, because there's even more ways of channels that we'll even think of.
Yeah.
And then blah, blah, blah. It's at 21 days, right? I think is what it was saying in here.
Yeah.
I would say 2 weeks. 2 weeks, okay. Something comes up more urgently.
14 days in advance.
Yeah.
Is that too little? I don't know.
No,
I don't think so.
that's fine. 21 days, people forget,
Yeah, there is like a optimal.
Okay, great. Cool.
Okay.
Make some precinct meetings happen.
Yeah, let's,
That's the goal.
we can do the work.
Yeah.
Okay, great, all right. I'm gonna take these out of order if that's
Let me
okay.
see if it's coming.
Yeah.
Having a good time.
Well, you hired out, you're on.
Um, I guess we can go to that. It's very amorphous, so like I know that that discussion could go all night. No, it's totally fine. So, Counselor Brown asked to add this to our discussion. She and I went to a rural issues conference from MMA. And sorry, Mass Municipal Association, the people who email you 4 times a day,
Uh-huh.
your council email. One of the presenters, so that part of the theme that day was, and the main speaker talked about how can you do things in your community that don't necessarily have to have like your traditional committee structure or, a designated piece that goes through government. Because often in a community, some of the best innovations and things happen in an ad hoc way with people getting excited about. And so we heard a presentation from a group called Berkshire Busk. So they started this program in Great Barrington, and it has grown to, I think, 10 weeks a year. And they have performers who do busking, which is basically performing on the sidewalk at locations throughout the city. And what they've seen is from the local businesses are starting to open later or like incorporating it into the work that they're doing. So Berkshire Busk has become a kind of consulting organization to help other municipalities look at, could they do something similar? So we were all really excited, like when we heard about just how it was bringing people in and how it expanded really organically. So, I mean, they started as just a small group who are interested in the arts. We said, like, what can we make happen here? And it grew to this like now big nonprofit that is running busk events all around the place. But and I spoke to one of the local business owners who's a friend. And she's like, I could get a few other business owners together to talk about this. And I bet you we could find like a community arts person to take this on outside of like all of the committee structures we currently have. So
And there's already a couple of examples of that on a different level, right? The flower baskets that,
yeah,
and then what's gonna happen every Friday in August of the town.
yeah, that was
So
like,
those are two examples of organic type things.
And there
I'm
was
not
an
sure if
art
we
walk, too.
hit what,
An art walk. There was an
yeah,
art
the
walk.
art walk. Well, that was specific to the art council,
Yeah.
but, right, wasn't it? Yeah, so that's,
I don't know, Amy, is
We don't
that,
have an arts council.
well,
We did. Arts
someone
Walk
made
is
it.
being run by, it was created by Madhouse Multi Arts.
Oh,
okay.
And they have now created a committee to try and revive it a little bit. And one of the things that they have done in the past and are talking about in their plans for next year is busking.
oh, cool.
They have done that at art walk locations around town.
Okay.
And that might be one great group to sort of start that. The problem, a problem is funding.
Yes.
For this. But yeah, Berkshire Busk is great.
Yeah, you familiar? Okay.
Yes.
she knows everything.
No,
Well, I do know that.
but I remember Berkshire Busk starting and everybody thought like, that's such a great idea. So I think, yeah, they're a great model.
Yeah, because I think one of the conversations we were having was just like people like only go to certain parts of Greenfield, like it's hard to get people to cross the street. And I know I'm one of them, like, because we have a very wide Main Street. There, depending on what business you're going to or whatever. And so you end up with stuff just at Hawks and Reed or kind of that section instead of kind of spreading out the arts.
Or the co-op,
Yeah,
you know.
it's true.
Hannah at Greenfield Business Association just included busking in her newsletter recently.
She and I were talking
Okay,
about it.
She was saying you don't need a permit for busking. So that's cool that we already have that. And they just they put out a call for musicians and performers.
Awesome.
But it's not just to this, it's the overall grouping and trying to get the community organically involved and being involved.
Yeah.
And that Friday night thing, that person took it on themselves to do that, which was
Yeah.
encouraging and nice to see. Same with the flower basket. I can't remember who's doing the flower basket. It's a group.
It's Blooming Greenfield,
Blooming,
which is
yes.
now becoming a 501c3 that's under the GPA.
Right.
But it's Kathleen Kenny who
Right,
just
man.
wanted to do it at the
Right,
start.
and then she gets people to sponsor, Precinct 7 residents sponsored a couple down on Deerfield Street and stuff. So that sort of stuff, getting community involved in a non-governmental way.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any, like, for this committee, if Sarah, if you had thoughts of like how we can, be a catalyst, but not have to like,
I was seeing that little micro grants, like even if you offer people like 100 or 200 to like host a neighborhood event, like some places are offering that. And I know we don't have money, but also at the same time, like a small amount that just would be like, oh, the city will support you doing a block party or doing like, I don't know, a little gathering.
I mean, it could be put in a budget,
Could be.
right?
It's like a small amount of money that could potentially
Because with,
go along.
$1,000, you could do 10 grants of $100 each, which is not a ton, but
I mean, then someone has to manage it, so it's.
Or it could be a matching thing where you guys get together as a neighborhood group, and if you can donate some money, we'll donate,
Right.
like a matching thing, so there's an
Yeah.
incentive. Oh,
Yeah,
if
that's
we get
true.
like a bunch together, we'll get
Yeah.
100, that sort of stuff.
yeah.
And $200 would definitely pay for a backyard barbecue and something like that.
I bet you could also get a business match on that.
Sure.
But I mean, that seems like the kind of thing that Greenfield Savings Bank, Greenfield Cooperative Bank, some of our local. I know they get asked a lot, so I'm not gonna, but it's small enough that it would not be like,
And then the other part, just some of the council showing up for some of these things, especially if it's in our own precinct.
Yeah.
Like I'm out of town next Friday, but I'm gonna try to show up for some of those, even though I don't play bingo and all this other stuff. I always do a walk and say hi to people and that sort of stuff. So people feel like they're being seen, heard, and the city's paying attention to them, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I feel like another fun event type of thing is when towns have like a citywide tax sale or free pile situation. I mean, of course, you're gonna have to like deal with the aftermath of that too, but I think that can also be a fun thing for the city to like. I don't think the city has to be the whatever the inception of that idea, but could like support that if others wanted to bring that over.
Don't we do that? Isn't
So
there
the
a down-
fair does
Yeah.
it, but that's sponsored by, I think, the radio station. Isn't it? I think,
Yes,
yeah.
Bear Country.
Yeah. So that's a sponsored event. Well, we can maybe hitch our wagon to it, I don't know.
Yeah.
Wasn't there but I'm thinking there was a downtown. I remember vending downtown at one point.
oh, there was, well, because
It was like a street fair.
Northampton does sidewalk sales and
Yeah.
Greenfield did a similar, but it was hardly any businesses that participated, but Wilson's would like set up their own tents.
Mhm.
No, there were, there,
It's been a
Okay.
while,
it's been a
but yeah, I
while.
remember you talking
yeah,
about.
it's probably
Yeah.
pre-pandemic. I'm trying to think the last time.
Okay.
When'd you get here? When did you move in?
3 years.
Okay, so yeah.
I don't really know what's going on.
It was probably in the 2010s, I think.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um, So with the arts walk, is that like going to be on a regular calendar or try it
Yeah,
once?
so it's on a regular calendar now. I should have looked at it before I came, but I think it's the third Friday of the month I'm holding it out. It's one Friday per month.
Mhm.
And it's not the first.
Okay.
And I think for this year, they're gonna do it sort of as they have been. They're trying to build up that event into something more and really focus on marketing as well. So one easy lift that my department did with them is they asked for new, like those signs you put in the ground on stakes, like campaigning signs. You
Yeah.
just say Arts Walk, third Friday or whatever it is.
Right.
It's like $200 or something nominal. So that each location can have a sign to just make it visible to people. And it can be on the common and can be elsewhere, so you know it's happening. And they're talking about doing live music, they're talking about maybe something that is on the common. Trying to, and are very interested in encouraging businesses and restaurants to get involved.
That's
Either doing
huge.
something or staying open a little bit later or whatever.
Yeah, that's a big part of it. I mean, the ones I go to in Northampton, East Hampton, like I know, sorry. They've gotten the business community though to stay open
Yeah.
later.
Sure.
And some of ours
It's a
are,
little bit of a chicken and egg. It's hard if you're a tiny business
I
to
know,
pay to keep your business open. Nobody's gonna show up.
I know, I know.
So I think the hope is if Arts Walk is one Friday a month, then and they can build a marketing presence and whatever, that can encourage businesses to feel comfortable about staying open a little later.
So they're talking about the third Friday,
I'm gonna look it up.
because I went to several of them when they were going on before, and they were really badly organized, with all due respect.
I think it's Charlotte and Jackson who own Madhouse Multi Arts. It's two people who are artists, not event planners.
Mhm.
And I think they got it off the ground and Jackson has done that graphic design for it. I think it looks beautiful, the map. And they now recognize that it's the last Friday of the month. That they need more hands on deck.
Yeah.
To better publicize it and better market it and build it up. So again, we just had one committee meeting. It was last, I think, 2 weeks ago, something like that, in the very recent past. With an eye towards planning for 2026. Not that it's still happening in 2025, but the planning that they're doing is forward looking to 26. That helps.
What's the name of this committee again? I'm sorry, I forgot what
It's that funding.
or just this like group that puts it on. What's
So they have gotten local cultural council grants and I believe perhaps cultural district funding as well, but definitely local cultural council.
Yeah, it feels like, the uphill push is, I think people in Greenfield aren't as aware of the arts that is in our community, in other communities, it's sometimes more visible with galleries or whatever it is. And ours is more tucked away sometimes. Like
Has the Lava Center participated at all?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Okay, they're one of those spots.
Yeah.
say they've got to be one of the major
Right.
places. Okay. Anything else you want to cover, Councilor?
place? Well, I just have a bunch of random ideas and none of them will whatever sticks, but like I feel like in New York City and other places, they have like a little like street piano. I think those are kind of cute. Hey, just to say.
They had that in Springfield down
Okay.
the street from my office.
Did people like it? Or did-
It didn't get used very much. Like people get
So-
weird about. Yeah. It's,
Some sort, yeah.
it is a cool idea.
And then maybe like And then also like how Northampton has like the painted crosswalks. Like
Yeah.
you could have more just public murals and more street art. But that, or we could have like an arts professional potentially, like I don't, yeah. And because you're in the, you're doing housing, you're doing the arts, you're doing like.
Well, the arts
Like
are part of
economic- yeah,
community and
exactly.
economic development.
Yeah.
They're an integral part. I think, my dream would be that Greenfield eventually gets either an arts council or a arts coordinator that's employed by the city under a department. Mine or rec, I don't know what would make more sense, but, we're not there yet.
Like the river culture, Turner's Falls, like
Or that
model
model.
also.
Is there a ton of
Could
women?
be shared though.
Yeah,
I mean, that, you know, Turner's is not that far,
it's
like,
true. We could literally just, that would make a sense to have a,
sorry,
No,
Councilor.
it's okay. Wasn't there a talk about limiting the number of crosswalks painting? So wasn't that kind of an argument, a debate a few years ago?
Yes, there has been
Yeah.
talk about, there's a difference of opinion or mixed
Yes.
opinions on painting crosswalks.
oh,
We got away with two, the one here at the common and the one at this guy, right?
Yeah,
That's about it.
but I
So
think there's
far.
other opportunities. The world of public art is much bigger than crosswalks, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
There's plenty of opportunities. I think it's capacity, both financial and person power.
Yeah, I mean, there's Commonwealth murals and is Brit still there? Is my right name Brit?
I don't know. I know Commonwealth runs, but
Yeah.
but there's plenty of folks who would love to paint murals. And
Yeah.
there are some property owners who would love murals on their buildings. There is a lack of funding to adequately pay the artist, and at least for us, my department feels that the artists deserve to be paid.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Gotta solve for the middle piece.
So where are we in this conversation? I'm cutting this
Oh, they're just-
all over the place. I don't,
No, but we're having some ideas, they'll be in the
Brainstorming.
minutes, and we'll pursue it, it's just getting the ideas down and thinking about this stuff. Working with some of these groups, maybe inviting them into a community relations meeting down the road and talk about it, Nothing's gonna happen tomorrow.
No, but I think it's an interesting question of how the city council can support arts and culture and art making. What
Yeah.
that could look like, that would be, no offense, helpful and not creating red tape or.
And that's exactly, like, I don't wanna like create another committee or any of that, but if we can foster things, and I think, I know Patty, you knew the committee, but we're trying to use this committee more as a sounding place for
Okay.
ideas. Because before it was just a committee that never met. And if you're a brand new counselor, you get put in this committee to help you with your training wheels,
okay,
right?
good.
Yeah, kind of, yeah, I only met twice, the first year I was on the council. And then, in this year,
Okay,
the chair took, the president of the council kind of took charge. Now we have, and I really think the transgender thing was the impetus for me to realize, we can get people involved if they're interested in whatever the topic
Yeah.
is. So there'll be some things that people are gonna say, there's gonna be other things where there's gonna be standing only, so depending on what the issue is, so.
Well, the homeless, the benches, came out of this conversation.
Sure.
And things like that, I would love to see come to the committee first, like, and the mayor can remove benches if she so desires, but could have used this as a sounding board of
Sure.
like, what would that look like, or, what would the implications be, so. I think so I think we're gonna have a combination of like what we just did, it looked like a resolution and go through things very detailed, and then some of it is gonna be brainstorm, like,
okay.
what does the community need? What,
Yeah.
Also,
But I was gonna say, whoever survives onto the new council, I'll make sure that it keeps going, that the vision keeps going, because
Yeah.
people change, but the vision needs to stay.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody hears of any danger, but you still have to, just make sure that, whoever the new people are buying into it and that sort of stuff.
no, when I asked to chair this committee to show that it's not a do nothing committee to at least give a signal that's
Yeah.
good. Because I only need to be on, committees besides, committee chairs, so. Oh, well. It's part of it.
We appreciate you doing this, maybe, when a new committee gets here, there'll be a different, attitude and you can have some help.
I see that there's, so the next thing on the agenda was rewriting of the definition of community relations committee. It is really hard to wordsmith something within a committee. So this might be the kind of thing that one of us could take, do a little bit of rewriting and then bring it back to the committee.
Yeah, I'd be happy to like talk about goals if that first
Okay.
and then try this. I could synthesize something and send it. to you.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty, that's not too far off. Regular venue during meetings for communications with city departments on cultural and social aspects. I think the city departments is less.
Sarah, just put a little bit more meat on it. Stuff we've been talking
Yeah.
about, that, will and, shall and that sort of stuff. So it's not just kind of just like, yeah, we'll meet when we feel like it, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So I guess it says resolutions would come here, technically, discuss proposed resolutions. So that's an interesting one. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have like no issue with it as written.
Yeah, because
And there's nothing
it's-
objectionable.
Well, it's interesting because the other committees, there was no question. They're gonna meet, they're gonna do the work. I'm just kind of interested why the community relations was kind of just, this who kind of, who cares type thing, it kind of just fell off the radar, it seems. I don't know the history of it.
I don't need.
We're all pretty new, so we don't know the history, but I could ask some old time counselors if, what their memories are. I will do that. I will ask some.
Sure.
Okay.
The few connections I have with some of the old timers.
Yeah, I mean, I talked to Sheila a little bit about it, and I think when it lost the education, I think they focused a lot on education issues before. And so it used to be called like community relations and education or something like that.
Mm.
And then, people felt like, well, we've got a school committee, which is true. And I think at least what Sheila said, when that came off of the definition, then it was a little rudderless. Because everybody has an opinion about schools.
Yeah, because it feels like Ways and Means clearly has the budget. A&O has policy. EDC has zoning. Community Relations has no actual teeth for power over anything because it's all through those other mediums. So our role is just like chit chatting or something, like, I don't know, like a sounding board before it becomes policy,
No.
budget or zoning.
Yeah, but before, was the issue driving the committee or was the committee driving the issue? I guess, what comes first, the horse or the cart? I guess that's kind of the question for the committee to think about. Does the committee drive the agenda or does the issues out there drive the committee? It sounds like maybe the committee was waiting for stuff to happen and then they react to it. Which is kind of after the fact in some ways.
I mean, I think it's got to be both, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely.
Because we've got to, I mean, like the water issues, which, the flooding we talked about last month was brought to a few members of the council, but if you're only going to your precinct person, then you might not get the larger audience you need.
Yeah.
For more complicated issues. So I think we have to think about how we're both proactive about issues that are bubbling up or might become issues. All right.
I have some like ideas of things we could do. I don't know if any of this needs to make it into like the text of our whatever.
Yeah, keep it vague.
Yeah, you
But-
definitely want to keep it vague.
But just even for our discussion or framing, like I feel like the community building, we want to,
But cultural is in there. Cultural is in there, so that covers arts, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think a connection with city departments, or at least with my department, would be great. I feel like a lot of the things that we do fall into the squishy bucket.
Sarah, what were you saying? I'm sorry.
oh yeah, I just was thinking like the buckets of things we could do, like community building with precincts and neighbors and citywide. And then also just transparency, education, participation with city government. Like we could have, even there was like a new counselor orientation guide, or if there's even just like material that we could put on the website so people understand how local government works. That's more in the education part that got chopped before, but I feel like that seems really useful. And then, yeah, the coordination, integration with other commissions and other city departments. And then I was thinking also like,
Feels like, just going back to what you
Yeah.
said about the kind of orientation education.
yeah,
I mean, it feels like it's both in the council. I think of like nonprofit boards that have governance committees, and governance often is like how the group functions together so that like new counselor, you know, a little orientation is not a bad thing, or even a like,
No, I was just talking about that last week. In fact, I haven't done, I'm going with my presumed successor. I'm talking about that sort of stuff because we always, you know, it's your second month that we both experienced where you just kind of walk in and go, what? You know, and
Yeah.
you learn as you go. And I kind of had a conversation with a former counselor and because this person was kind of criticizing me for last week. And I said, well, it would have been nice if you told me that 4 months ago. You know, not after the fact, you know, you shouldn't be doing this. Okay, well, I didn't know that until you told me. So if you someone had told me that when I first took over, I would have made that mistake, you know, that sort of stuff.
yeah, so handbook.
Yeah,
yeah.
There is, I got a packet.
yeah, but
But it just is like the charter and like how to make a zoning change. It's not like,
Right. How things work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a like, but then there's the, you know, public, like not. It's never clear like what levels of government deal with what, you know, and I know this from like collecting signatures. Somebody asked me, it's like, what does city council do? It's like, how do I justify? Like, I was like, we passed the budget, like,
Yeah.
it's very basic,
Yeah.
but. You know, okay.
I think that would be a really nice goal to take up. And I know Kathy said that there was a new counselor guide that was a draft form and somehow it never, I don't know, there's something there that we could.
well, we could take that as a starting point.
Yeah, and I got a guide from Northampton City Council too, of their new counselor orientation guide.
I had talked to him like a
Yeah.
few years ago. Well, when I joined the council, I was at the MMA conference and had talked to him about, you know, not reinventing the wheel, but if they'd be willing to share.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, so I think, yeah, that would be a cool goal to integrate, I think, to community relations. And then I can just share like 2 more ideas, but maybe some technological upgrades for efficiency potentially.
Sure.
I feel like, because efficiency helps involvement and participation. And like if it was easier, this is more on like the communications department, but like if it was easier where you could just see a really quick summary of notes or transcription and I mean, yeah. You want me using AI or what, but
I hate to use the word transparency because it's not quite that, but it is. It's sort of looking at how people access government and making that easier.
yes.
And I think we are getting better slowly. I mean, it is a cultural shift and technology is always changing, but I mean, you can find the minutes online. You can go back and find stuff relatively easy if you have some sense of how to use the computers.
Right.
We are getting better. You know, the minutes, these seem to be going out much faster now and they're available online. It seems to be, so we are getting better,
Mhm.
you know, but we have to keep that train going.
It's such a, like, I mean, you talked about summaries, so Brown, and it's such a balancing act because like, you know, we know the minutes have to be like this detailed. Like, I mean, the minutes that were in our packet last week, right? Were, I don't know, 50 pages of our packet was the minutes from last meeting.
But actually, there's three of them, I think,
Oh, yeah.
there's a couple months.
But anyway,
Still, I get your point.
And so because we have to follow these rules, like how do we have things like a summary, like, because, you know, even again, talking about like boards or things I'm on, like if you had the 4 bullet points of like what happened at the meeting in the beginning,
Yeah.
that would be super helpful for people to just,
Too long, didn't read.
yeah.
That's what people want.
Exactly.
One person does timestamp. Right, this image,
That's true, yeah.
that person does timestamp. She takes the GCTV recording, and she timestamps it, so people can just go right to what they want to see, instead of having to sit there. That's helpful.
That is really helpful. All right, anything else you wanted to
Thanks.
cover?
That was all. I feel like community building, education, coordination, accessibility. And then I don't know if this is our bucket or not, it could be, but just counselor capacity, like if we had, I don't know if this would even come to us, but theoretically reducing the council terms from 4 years to 2 years because of the 50 city councils in the state were of 3 that have 4-year terms. And we don't have that many people, our retention is not that good, we have a lot of appointments. So, or if we had like childcare or increase the stipend, I don't know if this is like in our bucket, because like, but it could potentially come here, thinking about,
Could be a discussion item for a future community relations meeting.
yeah, capacity. I feel like it's capacity, just,
Okay.
but that's all.
Yeah. All right. I'm being mindful of time. So I want to go to inviting other committees, commissions, and boards to provide summaries of issues they're currently or future would be addressing. I think I'm gonna, if it's okay, just put that on the agenda for our next meeting.
But as an example of that, just, you know, there's gonna be an agenda item on the city council, next month. I came from one of the commissions, and so that'd be an example of bringing the commission in to talk to them about it before it goes to council and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I know when we first talked about this, I'm still balancing in my head, like how to not create too much extra work and just another report that somebody doesn't read. And not duplicating like the council having department heads in, but I know there's so many other like citizen committees that going on with trees, huh? Pick something.
Do we have a liaison with the Human Rights Commission?
He's sitting right here.
The police had a liaison before, but I don't, the council did not, but the moderator was either the chief of staff or the communications director. So,
Do we ever
No.
have any
no,
relationship with the human?
not since I've been around on the, I started in 2019 on the Human Rights Commission, there was no one there. The chief of staff or the communications director ran the meeting as an advisor type thing, you know, so there was city involvement in that way. They would kind of advise, it's the mayors, you know, the HRC is kind of the mayors, it comes under the mayor's umbrella,
Right,
not the city council's
Right.
umbrella. You know, so
I'm,
there was a police liaison for a while.
mhm.
I don't think there's one now, though.
Well, so the reason I ask that, I mean, when you think about community relations, and I understand this has to do with how city government interacts with the community. I was wondering if there are issues that were coming up in the Human Rights Commission that we should be aware of. Because it's kind of like you can, you know, I mean, arts is important, et cetera, recreation is important, et cetera, figuring out gathering spots and having meetings with groupings obviously is important, but what are the issues in the community is my question. And how do we interact with that? Otherwise we're kind of like flapping in the breeze, in my humble, not so humble opinion.
Right, well,
Like, how do we find out?
right, that's what the agenda item is, right? You would want to talk about next month. We would bring the HRC chair in and ask them, like, what time when you get going, that sort of stuff, you know.
That would be,
Yeah,
They've been attending hockey, has been attending the unhoused committee because their theme that they picked is homelessness. So there's been crossover with that, but I don't think there's like an ongoing like liaison.
you have to remember also there's 32 commissions and boards. So, and all of them in some way affect the community. So you have to check, you know, which ones it wasn't.
Are there 32?
Yeah, I counted them up.
We maybe for next month come back with a list of what all they are.
Sure, that seems like a useful.
So I will ask Kathy for a list.
Yeah. That's something that would be great for the new counselor guide.
I counted them up because I wanted
On
to.
the website.
We were talking by commission, I wanted to make sure I mentioned all the other ones.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted to make sure everybody knows.
And I know we want to encourage, so the next item is to encourage residents to submit letters of interest so I think first, we've got to know what the commissions are
Right.
before we can start encouraging
Exactly.
people. And thinking about like, and I don't know the answer to where are these even posted?
I mean, they're all on the
Website.
website.
Yeah, they're on the
You can see
website.
where all the vacancies are.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there was, when I counted a couple of months ago, there was like 14 or vacancies or something.
Yeah.
There was a number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I also think an issue is that there isn't a contact for the commissions, like it would be
Well,
nice.
they all have, most of them were supposed to have a city employee representative, right? Yeah, so they do have a point of contact.
But
in
not all
City
of them.
Hall. Not all.
Like
of them.
agricultural commission doesn't have like a city staff
Right.
person, like some of them do and some of them don't.
And some of them only meet once every blue moon, you know, some of the trustees and that sort of stuff, they only meet when there's something going on for them to meet about, you know, but.
Yeah. But that would be a good first step of coordinating and collaborating is knowing which ones exist.
Okay, so I'll work on the list. And can go from there. And then the last item on our agenda for tonight is the school committee community engagement. Folks asked if we could do a joint meeting between community relations and their community engagement.
Okay. Thanks, Ian.
Thanks,
Take
Andy.
care, Amy.
So
That seems good. And
Do they say particularly why, or they just want to?
because they're doing outreach to community as part of their work. And it seemed to make sense to hear what feedback they're getting, what feedback we're hearing together. So I think it makes sense to do a joint meeting.
Sure. I think it's a good idea. I was just curious.
Yeah, no, I think it's part of the ongoing, it was a little bit tense this.
It's a good thing to sit with the school committee and have discussion, I think.
yes.
I agree.
Yeah, and
I
have
know, I
it
watched
be,
the potential.
and to have it be a smaller group of, they're smaller group of us, a smaller group of them, so that it's not
Yeah.
quite as formal and
Yep.
that. Would it matter to folks where that, like, maybe Johnson feels virtual or the
Next
fire
door to where I live,
station?
it's perfect for me.
All right. So I'll get back to
We're not talking about next week though, are we?
What's up?
Are we talking next week? She has the fourth Monday here, so, you know, did she need as soon as possible or just sometime? On her email, she's saying we normally meet the fourth Monday of each.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So I'll let her know that.
But we're not thinking Monday, are we?
No. So,
Also, I feel like it would be great if we had the new communications director, sorry if we pass this topic, invite other people. But if we had the new communications director come to this meeting, that I think that would be great because there's lots of,
To meet, you mean?
yeah, I think there's lots of things, like, for example, the school meetings are not on our calendar.
I'm gonna leave that just so that we're not out.
Going back pedaling.
No, just going outside of our topic.
Yeah.
So, but I think we can invite the new person to our next meeting.
That'd be great.
All right, so our next meeting is Monday, August 18th at 6 p.m. Here. I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
I